We were accused to be American spies and to have committed treason to the country, and then they threw us in the worst of the dungeons where they have all the political prisoners. The negotiation was so hard that it took 5 years to I could come back on October 1st, 2022. That means I'm going to have 3 years in a couple of weeks. Our case was so high politics because it was high politics. Was a negotiation between two countries to release us. And the press, they named us the Citgo Six. So they put us like a brand. We became the Citgo Six. So here in the U.S., everybody knows our story. We became the Citgo Six.
Well, Jose, thank you very much for joining me on Success Matters podcast. I was very intrigued by your story, especially the point where you said you were kidnapped. So I thought, let's start with that. Let's start. How did you end up being kidnapped? What were you doing? What was the circumstances and everything else you could share with us about that experience?
Well, yeah, this is a turning point in my life because for your audience that doesn't know me, I'm Venezuelan born. I live here in Houston and here in the U.S. Maybe 15 years ago, I came here. I began my career in the oil and gas. I did a long career, more than 3 decades in the oil and gas. And I was a worker of the PDVSA, that is the Petróleo de Venezuela, so the National Oil Company of Venezuela.
Okay.
So I did my career like 20 plus years in Venezuela, and they transferred me in 2012 to here to the U.S. because Venezuela, the oil and gas had several assets in all over the world. We had some assets in Germany, in Switzerland, in the Caribbean island, and here in the U.S., several refineries. And one of them was this Citgo Petroleum, a complex of refineries. So when I came here, I didn't come like a normal immigrant. I came like an expat here to the U.S. as an assignee of the National Oil Company, because that company that is here in Houston, the headquarters belongs to PDVSA. The people that doesn't know, Citgo Petroleum is the sixth refinery complex, the largest sixth refinery complex here in the U.S. It's big. Has 3 big refineries and a complex of a pipeline and more than 50 terminals. It's a production that's almost 800,000 barrels per day. So it's big. It's big. And I came here as the vice president of the company, and at some point, after a couple of years, I became the CEO of the company. So in 2017, I became the CEO of the company. But during that time frame, the people maybe are not familiar, but let me try to frame it. In 2017 was the first Trump administration. And Trump was having problems with Venezuela, like it's happening today. Today that is happening again, because he didn't like this guy that is in Venezuela. He's a dictatorship, and he wanted to throw this guy out. And the first time they didn't allow it because he lost the election. I believe this time he's going to do it. But the point that the relation began to be very, hard relation between the two countries, because Trump began to impose sanctions to Venezuela, to the country, to the government, and even to PDVSA, that our headquarters. And when I saw that, I told my wife that I didn't feel comfortable, because you're like in the middle of this situation. And I decided to get retired. I flew and talked face to face with my boss and told him that by that time I was entitled to get retired because I already had 32 years with the company. So it was a long time in the company. Back and forward, he approved my retirement. He said that he asked me to give him 4 months to find my replacement. So I came back here to the U.S. and I was in my retirement mode. I was ready to get retired, making my planification, taking some vacation, Thanksgiving, kids coming, planning my life after the retirement. I was planning to become a consultant, having my life ready to my new life. And I was in a movie with my wife, chilling out. And then I received a call from my boss asking me to go to Caracas the next day to an urgent meeting where I did it. I had to do a presentation because by that time we were revamping a refinery in Aruba. It was a big project, and he wanted me to go to make the presentation of the project.
Okay.
I didn't see nothing wrong. It was a normal meeting. The only thing that I was in my retirement mode and bothered me, they had to fly to Caracas. But okay, I was a corporate guy. I went to the trip, and I flew with my 5 vice presidents because they were involved in. I took all my board to that meeting to support the presentation, and it became to be an ambush.
Oh,
It became to be an ambush because what we didn't know that Maduro was planning, because he was planning to do this to kidnap us and use us as a tool of negotiation with the U.S. government.
wow.
So we became to be the tools of negotiation with the U.S. government because they didn't have nothing how to leverage, and I don't know how this guy planned it, but we were accused to be American spies and to have committed treason to the country, and then they threw us in the worst of the dungeons where they have all the political prisoners. And there began the nightmare because the negotiation was so hard that took 5 years that I could come back on October 1st, 2022. That means I'm going to have 3 years in a couple of weeks.
Right.
It was
wow.
through that negotiation that we could come back because they agreed that prisoner swap with the 2 nephews of Maduro. He had 2 nephews. They were here in a federal prison accused for being drug lords. They were capturing Haiti with, I don't know, tons of coke, a big. Well, but this guy, by that moment, Trump was not in office, was Biden. Mm-hmm. So that they continued with the negotiation. And Biden approved a presidential pardon to this guy, and then we were swapped. And that's how I'm here today talking with you.
Right. Wow. That's quite a story. Where do I would say? So you had 5 executives that went out with you. All of you got kidnapped at the same time, or arrested. Whatever the right term.
In fact, our case was so high politics because it was high politics. Was a negotiation between 2 countries to release us, mm-hmm. and all the back and forward negotiation. The press began to be involved, and the press they named us the Citgo 6. So they put us like a brand. We became the Citgo 6. So here in the U.S., everybody knows our story. We became the Citgo 6. I always joke with my colleagues saying that one day we're going to have a band of a rock band called the Citgo 6 because that is how everybody knows here. In the U.S., everybody knows our story. Everybody, Citgo 6. They don't know me. They know the Citgo 6. So that's why I decided to begin to talk, because I said I want to put face of the Citgo 6. Yes. I'm a face. I'm a face. I'm a person. Yeah. Because I was not a concept. Because the press always treat us like a concept. The executives of the Citgo 6, and nobody knew our story, who we were, what happened to us, nothing. And that's why I decided, okay, I want to tell my story. That's why I wrote my book. I have my book in English, in Spanish. So I wrote it first in English. So my book became out in English first. If you see my book, these are the guards that capture us. They use this mask. Okay? This is the way this is my silhouette in the dungeon. What you see here in the back is the dungeon where we stayed. It's called the Helicoide. This is the most famous dungeon of all Latin America. They have here more than 1,000 political prisoners here in this place.
Oh. And what were conditions like in the prison?
Oh, well, at the beginning it was a hell. Because our case, we were not normal prisoners. We were with a political prisoner, but we were a very special kind of political prisoner because we were international political prisoners. So our case was different of all the. By the way, the first year, we didn't have contact with the other guys. They didn't allow us to talk with this guy. So we were like encapsulated. It was a hell. The conditions were terrible. It was terrible because not only the condition, because the people maybe are not familiar, but if you research a little bit, 2017 it was when this happened, November 2017. But 2018, the next year, because of the sanction that Trump has imposed to Venezuela, the economy was totally destroyed. There was no food, no medicine. The lines, it was terrible. The people began to starve, and we were starving. We also were starving because we didn't have food. So they didn't have food in the country, and we didn't have food in the jail. So the first year was terrible, terrible.
Right.
I lost 100 pounds the first year.
Oh, wow. Wow.
Oh yeah.
That's definitely starvation dice, isn't it?
Was a starvation, of course. I lost a lot of food. Yeah.
Mm. How did you cope mentally with this?
Well, it's a process. It's a process, and this is something that today I have been analyzing during these years, and that's why I decided to create my coaching program, because I understood that there was a process. There were several stages. Let me tell you, the first year, as I said, when the conditions were terrible, we were separated. The first thing is that we were separated. I was not with my colleague. We were separated. So now
Okay.
the first year, I'm alone. I'm in all this terrible situation, no communication. The condition of the prison was really bad. So our first thoughts were very negative, very negative, very negative, even suicidal thought. I can tell you, I didn't commit suicide because I didn't have how to do it, because we didn't have window, we didn't have nothing. So there was no way to commit suicide. I cannot hang off a wall. Because we didn't have windows, we didn't have nothing to hang, nothing. So of course you go to that process, but after a couple of months being there, I cannot say exactly, because you lose the signs of time.
Yes.
But someday they opened the door, and they told me to dress up, that I'm gonna have a visit, and they put me in a room, and when I didn't know who was the visit. And when the door is open, when I see coming, was my wife.
Oh, wow.
My wife went to visit me. I was surprised and scared to see her there. My first reaction was, what the hell are you doing here? And she told me, no problem. This was something negotiated. I came in under a secure environment. There's where I knew what was going on, because the negotiation began to go, but we're not going good. And the relation began to deteriorate very fast. And they recalled the two ambassadors. So there was no ambassador.
Right.
So there was no direct contact. So they wanted to have like somebody bringing and taking things, and that became to be my wife. So my wife was approved to travel there and visit me, and she came with a message that the U.S. government was negotiating, but they wanted to give her the message that what they wanted. So, but I had the opportunity to talk with her, and it's the first time I heard that they were okay, that everything was being okay. And then she was with the other six. Remember, we were six guys, so we're six families impacted. So the six families were working together, and we're working with the U.S. government, and that gave me something that is important in any situation. That is hope. I begin to have hope.
Yes.
So the first time that I begin to have hope. So that really began to be that change in my mindset when I came after that visit. I was in a different mood, because now
Right.
I knew that I needed to fight to come back. That changed totally your mindset. I began to think that I needed to survive, to do things to survive. So now you begin to think differently. And after a couple of months, one day they opened the door again. Always was that way. You never knew what was going on. They opened the door, and there was a surprise. So they asked me again to dress up, to go to the room. And when I was there waiting, it came up a man and a lady, and they identified they were a representative of the UN.
Okay.
So the UN sent that they were members of the Arbitrary Detention Commission of the UN. So they flew
Mhm.
from the UN and they came to visit us. Was an official visit of the UN. And well, when they saw our condition, my and the other guys, that's the first time that I knew that they had met with the other guys because I didn't know where they were. And all of us were in very bad shape. And they told the government that, well, they needed to feed us and give us medicine because I had bronchitis, pneumonia, scabies, a lot of things. And the other guys were also, all of us were in very bad situation. So the government, because they didn't have way to feed us, because they were having really, really trouble, they approved our families to bring our food. They asked the family can supply their food. So
Okay.
our family began to supply us the food. Can you imagine that? So they put us together. The first time we were the six together, and the six had to arrange that our family did begin to provide food. In my case, the logistic was so complicated because we were in the middle of sanctions. So
Hmm.
UPS or FedEx were not going to Venezuela because it was a sanctioned country. It was an American company. So it was difficult to the logistic. My family took the decision that my eldest son, he moved to Colombia. So he
Okay.
relocated himself with his family to Colombia. And from Colombia, he began to take care of my logistics.
Wow.
He began to provide me all the logistics for the next 4 years. 4 years. Nowadays, it was 4 years. So they had somebody in Venezuela that took care of all my logistic internally. His wife cooked, and then they began to supply me food three times in the week. So they prepare the package of food for 3 days and 3 days and 3 days. And so it began to be a logistic every 3 days. And for me, the food, of course, increased my quality of life because I was now having proper feeding. But I took the risk because I didn't have contact with my family. So I took the risk. And inside the trash cans that I was returning, I began to smuggle letters to my wife.
Okay.
I began to write her
Right.
letters. And she began to reply me the letters. And then that became a routine. We did
Okay.
that for the next 3 years. We stayed 3 years doing that. Sending letters 3 times in the week, back and forward, back and forward. We created a code, a secret code. In the case the letter can be this, they
Mhm.
never found the letters. And those letters, when I came back, I found that my wife had compiled all those letters. I have it here in the pile of letters. It became like 1,000 letters. And she had put it in a ward to preserve them. And
Okay.
that became this book that you see
Based
here.
on your
So
book.
this book is based on those letters. So I went through what you find inside the books is the memoir of the mom, or so I could rebuild all the moment because I had the letters. I have
Yeah.
it then dated, so I can be. So for me was, I could revisit all the moment. Even though, that I had the letters, it took me a year to publish this book because I went through that process of healing. I went to a PTSD program, and I began to get connected. And today I'm still connected to the hostage community here in the US. So because one month after I came back, I discovered that in part of the negotiation and all the pressure our family did to get us released, they had put together with another families that had family members hosted in other countries, and they
Hmm.
got together like 20 family, and they created a foundation called the Bring Our Family Home campaign. That today
Okay.
is a campaign that takes care of the hostage here in the U.S. So they created that campaign, and for the creation of the campaign, they decided to in Washington there is an alley, a very large alley, where they put it a mural with all the faces of the 20 people. So it became to be an icon. Today it's called the Freedom Alley of Washington. And there are
Right.
the faces of the people. Of those 20 faces of the mutant, 18 we have come back. 18.
Okay.
One died in prison in Iran, and one guy is still there. But 18 of
Right.
us, we have come back. And today I met with all these guys. We are friends. We have a community. And this flag that you see here, this is the hostage and wrongfully detained flag. Our family and the oldest family created this flag. Today, this is the official federal flag here in the U.S. It was approved by the Congress. It's an official flag here in the U.S. So, so that's how far all this movement went. And today, I'm connected to that movement. I support the foundation, the work in that area, and there's where my coaching came. Because I was a guy that I was an executive. I did always leadership position, but I didn't know what to do with that in my new life. What to do? So I discovered that I could compile all my experience and put it in a coaching program. And I created this coaching program. This is my coaching that is called the Unbreakable Leadership Coaching Program. And this is a coaching where I teach leaders and CEOs, business owners, how they can survive and become better leaders. Because what I did is all those experience I went through, I put it I created a program based on that. And it became to be my speaking topic. Today I became a speaker. I'm a coach. I am a podcast. I have my own podcast called Building Resilience, and I'm going to become next month to be hosting a TV show here in Houston too. I'm going to have my own TV show called Unbreakable Leaders. So it became to be my new journey with the medias and all the stuff this is the way I decided to put all my experience that I went through.
Yeah. Experience is a good word, and it's a good way of framing it, right? How did the other 5 people cope?
It's difficult because there is one of my colleagues that he decided to also become a speaker, and he's a marathon runner. By the way, we did part of our survival plan was the marathon sessions he prepared for us. So he trained us. We had a marathon training with him because he's a marathon running. He's still running marathons today. He's all over the place running marathons and he's speaking. And the other 4 guys, to be honest, they went silent.
Right.
They went totally silent.
Different people cope with these sorts of situations.
Silent.
Right?
We met because we left 1 year ago. We received a surprise call from the office of the mayor of Houston. They wanted to invite you to a meeting, and we didn't know what the meeting was about. And when I show up with my wife, we saw the 6 there. It became to be he did a declaration of the 606 day that day. So we have our own day here in Houston.
Okay.
and they give the key of the cities, and so we became the ambassador of Houston, and we have today every December 19th is the 606 day here in Houston.
Right. Okay. Well, that's pretty cool. So over the course of time, you were a CEO, right? That's in many people's eyes, that's success, right? To get to that position, that's very much success. Your book says from hero to villain, you've kind of ended up in this situation through no fault of your own, but political landscape has kind of created that. How would you say that your view on success has changed, having gone through all of this life experience that you've had?
This is a great question. Let me tell you to the audience. For me, the success in my previous life, I always talk about my previous life. My previous life, the success was everything about me. I always thought that it was because of me, because of my capability, because I was good, because I was a hard worker, and I thought that the success was about me. Today, I'm a man of faith. I have become a man of faith. I do church service, and I'm very involved in my church, and I'm clear that nothing is achievable if you're not connected with God. So for me today, everything is about Him and about me. And today, everything that I do intentionally. I do it because this for me, more than a job or more than a business, became a calling. A real calling, because I discovered that the things that I went through, I can help others because I went through that. You don't have to be a hostage. But sometimes the people have their stuck in their business or stuck in their career, or they're having issue how to handle people, how to manage people, how to communicate with the people, how to connect with the people. And these are
Mhm.
the tools that today are part of my coaching, and how to regain a balance with your life. Because this is another thing. Sometimes the people think that the success, you have to sacrifice your personal life, and that's not true. That's not true. You have to have a
Mm.
balance in your life. Because if you think that to be successful, you have to sacrifice family time, and then that's so. I don't want to be successful that way, because that's not what you have to be. You have to have a balance in life. So for me, and I didn't have it. Everything I'm doing today is because I went through it. So it's not that
Yeah.
I learned it in the university, or no. I learned it in a prison cell. So I had a lot of time to reflect, a lot of time to see what working, what doesn't work, because we were six guys living in a cage.
Yes.
The probability of having, difference, arguments, things is very high, and we didn't have it. We managed
Mhm.
really great. And the things that we did there are the things that the people had to do in their business. Because your business can become your prison if you don't handle
Yes.
properly. And
Yeah.
and today the things I talk and I teach is because you can mirror the situation. Everything can be mirrored, and that was my lessons, because I always tell the people that in a normal situation anybody can be a leader. You can be a leader in a normal situation. But when the things are pushed from your comfort zone, when you are in a situation that is not your comfort zone, is where you're going to be tested if you're a good leader or not.
Yeah.
And that is what the people have to think. Things like, for
Mhm.
example, in the changing world, the leaders that really survive are those that are adaptable. So this is something that we learned there. We needed to be adaptable because our situation was totally unknown. So
Yeah.
if you are not adaptable, you will go crazy. I
Mm.
could have gone crazy. But
Yeah.
we decided to adapt to whatever was going on. That's what a leader has to do. That's what a
Mm.
leader has to do. So for me, answering you the question, today I see the success that totally different than in the past. Totally different.
Yeah, that's cool. And I kind of want to pick up a little bit on what you said earlier as well, which is, okay, you were a hostage, physically hostage in a cell, in a cage, but many of us are hostages to our own circumstances, right? And our own
And it can be
situation,
even worse. I can tell you, being a mental hostage can be even worse than be a physical hostage.
right?
Can be even
Yeah.
worse.
And so that's the thing, right? You first of all, I suppose you need to recognize that you've made yourself a hostage of your circumstances or your
Mm-hmm.
kind of
Mm-hmm.
situation, and
Yeah.
then how you break free from that, and what does that look like? And that's what, in effect, you're providing a coaching service to, right?
Yeah. And I have a speech that I called it From Captivity to Freedom, because
Hmm.
that is exactly what the people had to do. The people had to be freed of their belief,
Yeah.
they're freed of or their circumstance. Today that I discover all this path through my spirituality, my reconnection with God, and that there is a subject that for me is key, that is the faith. The
Hmm.
faith is so important. And let me tell you, I have been studying all this. I have been become like a fan of the neuroscience. Okay. So now
Yeah.
Joe Dispenza and all this stuff. But the neuroscience today has confirmed many things that the Bible talks about. And one of them is the faith, because there have been experiments that the observer can change what is being observed. You can change your reality. So that is faith.
Yes.
When
Yeah,
you believe
exactly.
in something that you haven't seen it, but you believe in it, that is the faith. That is exactly what is the faith.
Yeah. And faith, it doesn't necessarily need to even be faith in God particularly, right? It can be faith
No,
in your
you can
abilities
have
and
faith
faith
in
in,
yourself. You can have
correct.
faith
Yeah.
in yourself, or you can have faith. Of course, it's very powerful when you have faith in God, because you truly believe that He's gonna provide. He's gonna
Hmm.
provide what you. So this is the connection with your spirituality is so needed, because that's what's gonna connect you with a. You can call it the universe, whatever, but I call it God. Of course, I'm a God
Yeah.
believer. But that is what is gonna make that your reality is going to be not where you are today, is where you want to be. And there is where the success comes. There is where the
Mm.
success comes.
That's a very powerful statement. Indeed, your reality is where you want to be, and
You
that's where
want to be?
success comes.
Yes. Yeah.
So I have a tradition which I've borrowed from another podcast to ask a previous guest have a question for my next guest. No one knows who the guest is going to be. The order gets quite randomized sometimes. So my last guest asked a question which I actually think you've answered in the process of this conversation, but I'll read it to you. My last guest asked, if you look at all the forks in the road to your life, which produce the most interesting option?
The folks, the people.
Yeah, the forks in the road.
Wow. Well, for me, I don't know if God can be considered a fault, but for
Okay.
me, for
Yeah.
in my journey, God has been everything, because I rediscovered God during this situation. I really saw His hand. I really saw how He protected us, how He transformed us, and how He made not only survive, understand that any process that you're going in life has always a meaning. There is a purpose. And when you find that, you become to be passionate in what you do. I today feel passionate with what I do, because I discovered that is what really He wanted me to do. So all my career, all my successful career, was part of the journey that I'm doing today. I had to go through that. That became part of the package to prepare me to this moment. So that's the way I look at today.
Right. Okay. Yeah, that's cool. Do you have a question for my next guest?
Well, I will ask you next guest how he believes that has to be, how he considers there had to be the tools they had to use to be successful. Because it's interesting to know what everybody believes about what is success is.
Okay. So to just kind of summarize that question, what are the tools that you believe
Yeah,
you need to be successful?
correct. Yeah.
Okay. And again, kind of going back to your past life, your current life, um, the tools that you felt you needed to be successful previously compared to the tools you believe you need to be successful now. What's the difference between them?
Well, because that in the beginning, in my past life, I was self-centric. I was centric in myself. I thought that everything was about me. There's a lot of ego in that, by the way, a lot of ego. And of course, you are so focused in yourself that not only makes you be selfish, you really begin to get disconnected. This is a very bad thing that CEOs do. They disconnect. Sometimes they even disconnect of the reality. You know, you don't have the connection with what's going on. So you get
Right.
connected. Only the the small thing that's surrounding you. You lose a connection with your family. That happened to me too. So that is the way that many people think that is the success is very wrong. Today, for me, the success is finding your purpose, having a balance in your life, having a connection with your belief, your spiritual belief. In my case, is having a not only balance doing your job, serving. But this is another
Mhm.
thing that today I discovered that the importance of serving and expressing gratitude. Thing that I didn't do
Yes.
in the past. Expressing gratitude, having kindness. So
Right.
all these things that refrain your way to see life. And the success come alone. And you begin to see the success different in a different way. A
Mm.
totally different way. They're totally different.
This is great. This is exactly why I'd set up Success Matters as a podcast series, because we are presented with one image of success generally in social media. But the reality is success means so many different things to so many different people. And, you just shared a great example of what success could be for different people. Jose, it's been a great conversation. We're at the top of our time now. If people want to find out more about you, get in contact with you about the coaching work that you do, what's the best way for them to contact you?
I have a webpage that is joseconnect.com. Joseconnect.com. If you go to my webpage, you will find everything because I have a page for the coaching, I have a page for the speaking, I have a page for the book. By the way, I wrote my second book. It went out a week ago. Unbreakable. It became an Amazon bestseller in three categories in 1 week. In 1 week, it's being sold very well. I had the book of my story that is from here to Finland. I have it in Spanish, in English, and in Bengali. It
Okay.
was traduced. It was traduced to Bengali too. Yes, yes. I
Right.
have a friend that's from Bangladesh that he traduced it to Bengali. Okay.
Okay.
So you can find it in Bengali too. And I have also there my podcast, my TV show that is going to start in next month. It's going to be called Unbreakable Leadership. It's going to be there too. So, a lot of things you can find everything there. So if you want to contact me for my coaching or my speaking or being guest on my podcast or on my TV show, you go there, you will find ways to get to me. And there you can go from there to all my social media. I have a YouTube channel, I have my LinkedIn, my Facebook, or my platform, and you can go from there, from joseconnect.com.
Okay, that's brilliant. Thank you. And so thank you very much. You said, expressing gratitude, and I'm very grateful to you, and I'm sure my listeners will be grateful to you for sharing your story and the real turmoil you must have gone through during that period. And you've come out the other side with such a lovely smiley face on it. So it's, clearly that transformation that you've gone through, that self-healing has really worked.
Well, I tell the people you have to believe in yourself. You have to believe that, that you are better than whatever you're going in this moment. If you're having a hard time, this is a circumstance. That is gonna finish at some point, but you have to really trust and have faith in yourself and have faith in him, and that will change your reality. And pursue
Yeah.
your dream. I always say, if you can run, run. If you cannot run, walk. If you cannot walk, crawl, but keep moving.
Keep moving. Exactly. Very true. On that note, thank you very much, Jose, for taking part in Success Matters.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much.
To find your success, contact me at info@successmatterscoaching.com. That's info@successmatterscoaching.com.